Hi everyone, Denise here and welcome to my Spotlight Week. I'm delighted to have you along with me for the ride. I'm really looking forward to it, so thank you very much for joining me. I've pre-recorded all of these videos so that I can join you in the chat, so I'll be there chatting away to you, so if you've got any questions please don't hesitate to ask. So what am I going to do this week? Well, I'm going to do something that I find a little bit tricky because I think it's always good to challenge yourself. As you know, I adore painting the sea, but I nearly always paint it in acrylics, and that's because I find the acrylics that much easier. So when you're painting something like this, and this particular one, there is a video on my own YouTube channel, Arty Denise, A-R-T-Y Denise. Something like this, you build it up from the darks upwards, and therefore you don't have to preserve any of the whites, you don't have to leave any of the whites free, and when you're ready to, you just pop them back in, and it just makes life so much easier. So I find working a seascape in acrylics is just that much easier. So I wanted to challenge myself a little bit this week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a seascape in acrylic. I'm going to be showing you throughout the week different resist methods. I'm going to be using a little bit of wax, and I'm going to be using care, which is the hardest one. I'm going to be using some masking fluid. So we're going to try different ways to resist and preserve the white. So we'll have a look at those. I'm going to close in on just a very small part of the sea so that we can focus on what we're doing. There's going to be different ways of applying things, and then we're going to gradually build up the colour that we need. And yeah, we might cheat a little bit if we need to, if we've gone over things that we shouldn't have done. So there's always a way around things. So that's my intention for you for this week. So come along for the ride. I'm going to show you my photograph now that I'm going to work from, and I will get it drawn out and ready for the rest of the week. So you've had a good little look at my reference photograph, and here's my copy of it here. And this was a photograph I took at our local beach at Galston, and it's quite interesting to me anyway. That you get the sea is looking very blue, which reflects the colour of the light and the sky, but this bit here is kind of coffee coloured, and the sea, depends on what the light is like, can look blue or brown in this area of East Anglia. And what it is, it's just the sand. It's just the sand from the bottom of the sea being churned up within the water. So focusing in on this bit, we get this wonderful coffee colour. So I shall bring some of that through to the foreground as well, just to keep it all connected. So my first job really is to draw this out. Now obviously you have lots of ways of doing this. This photographic reference is in the resources folder, which is, if you go to the Artist Demo Days Facebook page and go under photographs, there is a resources folder there, and I'll put it in there. And I just really want some detail in here that I'm drawing out. I'm not going to draw anything at the back there. I'll probably do a couple of bits in the foreground here, just to sort of position a few things, and that's where we're going to go. Now of course you could use things like trace down and those kind of things, but I'm just winging it. There's not a lot of detail, so it doesn't matter if you're not absolutely accurate with the shape that we've got going on here. Now on my photograph, this line is pretty horizontal, but this line does pan down a little bit, giving me some perspective. So I've got this area of shadow coming in there. And that runs away up there. Got the edge of the wave comes along. Let me just bring you in a bit so you can see. There you go, you can see my drawing a little better. Now I'm not drawing out all of these, see we've got all of these little bits of white froth and foam. I am going to draw them out in masking, but I'm not drawing them out in pencil. If you feel more comfortable, then by all means draw those out. But to me that's just doubling up the workload, so I'm not going to draw them at the minute, but I'm just positioning where my wave goes. Now up here we get these higher bits coming up, which is where the splash is coming, and there's a bit there. And on this side, let's bring you back out so you can see. Okay, so we've got this splash coming up there. This is this curve here. It's just marking a few things, and then we have this big frothy foamy bit on this side. So we've got this sort of wedge-shaped piece going across in the middle. Then we have a few very pale bits in here. Most of this is blue with these coloured holes in it. So what I'm going to start off with these very pale bits and just position them. This is like giving me edges to work from. Now, I know you can't see that terribly well on the camera, but that's because I'm drawing fairly lightly. I will put a photograph in a second once I finish the drawing of the drawing, and I will also put the drawing into the reference folder. Now back here, the only thing I want to put in is there is a wave coming along that kind of fades away a little bit, so we can get some light coming up on that later. So I think I've got everything drawn in at the minute that I want to get drawn in. But like I say, if you feel the need to have more control with your pencil to put these in, then by all means put those in first, so you can just draw in where those shapes are. I personally prefer a bit of freehand when it comes to working with my mask, so I'm going to leave that for a moment. So I've got my drawing, I've got my reference, I'm ready to rock and roll, and tomorrow we will have a look at masking. So I'll just turn you around a second. So I've got my drawing done, and tomorrow we'll come back and look at a few different methods of masking before we get working on the seascape. See you tomorrow.